The waters can only equal life because God brings life out of death. A shout out to all the brethren in Phoenix, AZ. Now we got a lot to deal with, so let's go. I said that the water equals death. They don't only equal death, they also equal life in some instances, right? But in order to catch the fullness of the story of the waters can only equal life because God brings life out of death. Right? And the waters aren't the only symbol of death. It's just the first one because it represents existence before anything existed. Now, we posted up in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. I'm planting my flag today because I perceive we're going to be here for a little while. So let's read the scripture. We tracing for the next several weeks. The scripture that all of us need to have memorized, right? That verse that we all want to commit to memory, but I'm going to read it in the meantime. Matter of fact, Mr. Producer, let's go ahead, sit that verse like right up in here somewhere, right next to me. And let's just let it sit there since it's our memory verse. Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, and it says, the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved on the face of the waters. And so what we doing is, we looking for these waters again. The way we know if we looking at the waters again as we read our Bibles is by looking for key vocabulary or key synonym vocabulary or key concepts that appear in both stories or synonym concepts, right? I know it sounds like it's a lot, but once you get to doing it, it's actually really intuitive, instinctive, and it starts to come natural, right? The Bible becomes user-friendly, in my opinion. So when we comparing this week, Genesis chapter 1, verse 2 with the story of Noah. So let's start at chapter 6, verse 17. And it reads, and behold, even I do bring a flood of waters on the earth to destroy all flesh wherein is the breath of life from under heaven. And everything that is in the earth shall die. Now, off the bat, first thing you want to notice is you got the water of life, you got rivers of streaming waters, and you even got, hey, let me get a drink of water. All singular. But here, and whenever we refer back to this water or these waters, these ocean type waters, this water that don't never seem to have a bottom at the bottom. The only thing left for you if you get stuck out there is death. Them type waters are always plural. And those are flood type waters. Right. And as we continue reading chapter 7, verse 11, and it says, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, in the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up and the windows of the heaven were open. Right. What are these fountains of the great deep? The deep is one of our vocabulary words, right? The deep is referring to the deep abyss waters with no bottom. Death waters, if you will, also known as nothingness because it was there before God created anything. Now, if you continue in chapter 1 into the third day of creation, verse 6 through verse 13, what happens next? God puts a firmament in the middle of the waters to separate them, and then the dry land appears out of the waters. Then things are created out of the ground. God created man with the breath of life. And he also created the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field on top of the ground with the creeping things. Now, as we continue on in chapter 7, the waters of the deep are increasing at the same time it's raining through what are called windows of heaven, right? And so we got the boat, the ark that Noah builds is actually going through the waters to come out on the other side. And after you read on, chapter 7, verses 17 through 23, the waters prevailed and covered the earth, so the dry land is covered completely again, right? I'm going to read 21 and 22. It says, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life of all that was in the dry land died, and every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle and creeping thing and fowl of heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth, and Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. Making sure that y'all catching all this vocabulary, everything from the earth, every living substance, breath of life, mention every single living critter all over again, the whole list. The basic point was from verse 2, but this is still part of the same original song. Remember, until we get to chapter 11. So Noah's flood is still part of the foundation of Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. The concepts and the vocabulary, right? Because it's the only other time the earth gonna be flooded, right? The earth was without form and void, darkness on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved on the face of the waters, right? That's covering all of Genesis 1, the ordered world upon the face of the ground. And then they included Genesis 2, talking about when God breathed into Adam's nostrils. These verses are saying all of this is being undone. And so by recalling that, this sequence or set of events or set of terms is showing us, informing us that all of these things are being reversed or undone. Not just that God is killing everything, but that all of that time and care, he put stuff in order, is he just simply reverse. He's allowing the created order to collapse in on itself, like handing creation over to its own violent death, but speeds up their future. But a remnant survives out the other side. That's about half the story. We're going to finish the other half in the next video. Check us out right now.